the blackout. And y'all know what them blacks about. Yeah. Okay, say it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Forget an LLC. The world was black owned. Black kings, black crowns on a black throne. Black kings, black queens making black clones. Black peace back east, bringing back those. Poverty, slavery, and they snatched souls. Prison system, feminism, and the crack soul. Still couldn't kill us, then we came back bold. The Most High put some fire on these black coals. I ain't here to jeopardize it, just to add a fire. This a Malcolm X mixed with some Hezekiah. This a Muhammad Ali with some Nehemiah. This some stop being the lowest, time to get higher. Even at our best, we still ain't maxed out. I wish I had a wood, I'd bring the axe out. And all we ever do is bring the facts out. Once the blacks come in, it's a blackout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're raising up Israel. Let's go. We're raising up the Israelites. Let's go. We're raising up Israel. Let's go. We're raising up the Israelites. Let's go.
All right, shalom, Israel. Thank y'all for joining us. Before we go any further, again, let us give a big shout out to John Boy doing his thing with the music. He's the one that did the anthem that we have for the channel. So big shout outs to him. He got a lot of songs on his playlist on SoundCloud that's going down. Big shout outs to the wife, Yamisha, for putting together the video that you guys got to enjoy to watch. Thank y'all for joining us as we continue our walk through the scriptures, picking up where we left off with Jasher, chapter 78, going to chapter 82. As y'all see, I got my twin brother, Yanakotha, in the building. What's happening?
Shalom. What's going on, y'all?
All right. Chilling over this way. You know what I'm saying? We hoping that everybody had a wonderful Shabbat. Those that could have a wonderful Shabbat, I hope you was able to enjoy it. And without further ado, like I said, Israel, we're going to jump right into Book of Jasher, chapter 78. Yanakotha, you want to pick up?
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
The book of Jasher, chapter 78, and verse 1. At that time died Baal, Canaan, son of Akbor, king of Edom, and he was buried in his house in the land of Edom. After his death, the children of Esau sent to the land of Edom and took from there a man who was in Edom, whose name was Hadad, and they made him king over them in the place of Baal Kahanan, their king. And Hadad reigned over the children of Edom 48 years. And when he reigned, he resolved to fight against the children of Moab, to bring them under the power of the children of Esau, as they were before. But he was not able, because the children of Moab heard this thing, and they rose up and hastened to elect a king over them from amongst their brethren, and afterward gathered together a great people, and sent to the children of Ammon, their brethren, for help to fight against Hadad, the king of Edom. And Hadad heard this thing which the children of Moab had done, and was greatly afraid of them, and refrained from fighting against them. And in those days, Moshe, the son of Amram, in Midian, took Zipporah, daughter of Reuel, the Midianite, for a woman, And Zipporah walked in the ways of the daughters of Yaakov. And it says, she was nothing short of the righteousness of Sarah. I'm going to say that again. She was nothing short of the righteousness of Sarah, Rivkah, Raquel, and Leah. Zipporah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Gershom. For he said, I was a stranger in a foreign land, but he circumcised not his foreskin at the command of Reuel, his father-in-law. See, his father-in-law told him not to circumcise his son, Gershom. And she conceived and bore again a son, but circumcised his foreskin and called his name Eleazar. And Moshe said, because Elohim of my fathers was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, king of Mizraim, greatly increased the labor of the children of Yisrael in those days, and continued to make the yoke heavier upon the children of Yisrael. And he ordered a proclamation to be made in Mizraim, saying, give no more straw to the people to make bricks. Let them go and gather themselves straw as they can find. Also, tally the bricks, tally of the bricks which they shall make, and let them give each day, and diminish nothing from them, for they are idle in their work. Basically, what he was saying was, they lazy. We're gonna make them do some work. They lazy. Verse 14. And the children of Yisrael heard this, and they mourned and sighed, and they cried unto Yahuwah on the account of the bitterness of their soul. And Yahuwah heard the cries of the children of Yasharah, and saw the oppression in which the Mizrahites oppressed them. And Yahuwah was jealous of his people and his inheritance, and heard their voice, and resolved to take them out of the affliction of Mizraim, and to give them the land of Canaan for possession.
All right. Now, with that being said, we're going to dive right into chapter 79. And it says, and in those days, Moshe was feeding the flock of Reuel the Midianite, his father-in-law, beyond the wilderness of Sin, or Sin. And the stick which he took from his father-in-law was in his hand. And it came to pass one day that a kid of goats strayed from the flock. And Moshe pursued it, and it came to the mountain of Elohim and Korith. And when he came to Korith, Yahuwah appeared there unto him in the thorn bush. And he found the thorn bush burning with fire, but the fire had no power over the thorn bush to consume it. And Moshe was greatly astonished. I apologize, Israel. Let me go ahead and reread verse 3. It seems like I might have cut it out. All right, verse 3. And when he came to Korith, Yahuwah appeared there unto him in the thorn bush. And he found the thorn bush burning with fire, but the fire had no power over the thorn bush to consume it. And Moshe was greatly astonished at this sight, wherefore the thorn bush was not consumed. And he approached to see this mighty thing. And Yahuwah called unto Moshe out of the fire, and commanded him to go down to Mizraim, to Pharaoh, king of Mizraim, to send the children of Yisrael from his service. Verse 5. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, go, return to Mizraim, for all those men who sought your life are dead, and you shall speak unto Pharaoh to send forth the children of Yisrael from his land. And Yahuwah showed him to do signs and wonders in Mizraim before the eyes of Pharaoh and the eyes of his subjects, in order that they might believe that Yahuwah had sent him. Verse 7. And Moshe hearkened to do all that Yahuwah had commanded him. And he returned to his father-in-law and told him the thing. And Reuel said to him, go in peace. And Moshe rose up to go to Mizraim, and he took his woman and sons with him. And he was at an inn in the road, and an angel of Elohim came down and sought an occasion against him. And he wished to kill him on account of his firstborn son, because he had not circumcised him, and had transgressed the covenant which Yahuwah had made with Abraham. Verse 10. For Moshe had hearkened to the words of his father-in-law, which he had spoken to him not to circumcise his firstborn son. Therefore he circumcised him not. That's where he messed up. Again, that's supposed to be an everlasting covenant. No matter who your father-in-law is, and no matter what he says, he's not supposed to stand taller than the Most High Yah. Verse 11. And Zipporah saw the angel of Yahuwah seeking an occasion against Moshe, and she knew that this thing was owing to his not having circumcised her son Gershom. And Zipporah hastened and took the sharp rock. Do y'all hear me, Israel? She took a sharp rock, stones that were there, and she circumcised her son with some sharp rocks. Only a man can understand that pain right there. And delivered her man and her son from the hand of the angel of Yahuwah. Verse 13. And Aaron, the son of Amram, the brother of Moshe, was in Mizraim walking at the riverside on that day. And Yahuwah appeared to him in that place. And he said to him, Go now toward Moshe in the wilderness. And he went and he met him in the mountain of Elohim, and he kissed him. And Aaron lifted up his eyes and saw Zipporah, the woman of Moshe, and her children. And he said unto Moshe, Who are these unto you? Verse 16. And Moshe said unto him, They are my woman and sons, which Elohim gave to me in Midian. And the thing grieved Aaron on account of the woman and her children. And Aaron said to Moshe, Send away the woman and her children, that they may go to her father's house. And Moshe hearkened to the words of Aaron and did so. And Zipporah returned with her children, and they went to the house of Reuel, and remained there until the time arrived when Yahuwah had visited his people, and brought them forth from Mizraim, from the hand of Pharaoh. Verse 19. And Moshe and Aaron came to Mizraim, to the community of the children of Jasher, and they spoke to them all the words of Yahuwah, and the people rejoiced in exceeding great rejoicing. And Moshe and Aaron rose up early on the next day, and they went to the house of Pharaoh, and they took in their hands the stick of Elohim. Verse 21. And when they came to the king's gate, 2 young lions were confined there with iron instruments, and no person went out or came in from before them, unless those whom the king ordered to come. When the conjurers came and withdrew the lions by their incantations, and thus brought them to the king, and Moshe hastened and lifted up the stick upon the lions, and he loosened them. And Moshe and Aaron came unto the king's house. The lions also came with them in joy, and they followed them and rejoiced as a dog rejoices over his Adonai when he comes from the field. Verse 24. And when Pharaoh saw this thing, he was astonished at it, and he was greatly terrified at the report, for their appearance was like the appearance of the children of Elohim. And Pharaoh said to Moshe, What do you require? And they answered him, saying, Yahuwah Elohim of the Ivri has sent us to you to say, Send forth my people, that they may serve me. Verse 26. And when Pharaoh heard their words, he was greatly, terrified before them. And he said to them, Go today and come back to me tomorrow. And they did according to the word of the king. And when they had gone, Pharaoh sent for Balaam, the magician, and to Eanes and Eambris, his sons, and to all the magicians and conjurers and counselors which belonged to the king. And they all came and sat before the king. And the king told them all the words which Moshe and his brother Aaron had spoken to them. And the magician said to the king, But how came the men to you on account of the lions which were confined at the gate? And the king said, Because they lifted up their rod against the lions and loosed them, and came to me, and the lions also rejoiced at them, as dogs rejoice at meeting his Adonai. And Balaam, the son of Beor, the magician, answered the king, saying, These are none else than magicians like ourselves. Now therefore, send for them. Now therefore, send for them, and let them come, and we will try them. And the king did so. Verse 32. And in the morning, Pharaoh sent for Moshe and Aaron to come before the king. And they took the rod of Elohim and came to the king and spoke to him, saying, Thus says Yahuwah Elohim of the Hebrew, Send my people that they may serve me. And the king said to them, But who will believe you that you are the messengers of Elohim, and that you come to me by his order? Verse 35. Now therefore give a wonder or a sign in this matter, and then the words which you speak will be believed. And Aaron hastened and threw the rod out of his hand before Pharaoh and before his servants, and the rod turned into a serpent. And the sorcerers saw this, and they cast each man his rod upon the ground, and they became serpents. And the serpent of Aaron's rod lifted up its head and opened its mouth to swallow the rods of the magicians. And Balaam, the magician, answered and said, This thing has been from the days of old, that a serpent would swallow its fellow, and that living things devour each other. Verse 40. Now therefore restore it to a rod as it was at first, and we will also restore our rods as they were at first. And if your rods shall swallow our rods, then shall we know that the Ruach Elohim is in you, and if not, you are only an artificer, like unto ourselves. Verse 41. And Aaron hastened and stretched forth his hand and caught hold of the serpent's tail, and it became a rod in his hand. And the sorcerers did the like with their rods, and they got hold each man of the tail of his serpent, and they became rods as at first. And when they were restored to rods, the rod of Aaron swallowed up the rods. And when the king saw this thing, he ordered the sefer of records that related to the kings of Mizraim to be brought. And they brought the sefer of the records, the chronicles of the kings of Mizraim, in which all the idols of Mizraim were inscribed. For they thought of finding therein the name of Yahuwah, but they found it not. Verse 44. And Pharaoh said to Moshe and Aaron, Behold, I have not found the name of your Elohim written in this sefer, and his name I know not. And the counselors and wise men answered the king, We have heard that the Elohim of the Hebrew is a son of the wise, the son of the ancient kings. And Pharaoh turned to Moshe and Aaron and said to them, I know not Yahuwah whom you have declared, neither will I send his people. Verse 47. And they answered and said to the king, Yahuwah Elohim of Elohim is his name, and he proclaimed his name over us from the days of our ancestors, and sent us, saying, Go to Pharaoh and say unto him, Send my people that they may serve me. Verse 48. Now therefore send us, that we may take a journey for 3 days in the wilderness, and there may sacrifice to him. For from the days of our going down to Mizraim, he has not taken from our hands either a sending smoke offering, oblation, or sacrifice. And if you will not send us, his anger will be kindled against you, and he will smite Mizraim, either with the plague or with the sword. Verse 49, Israel. And Pharaoh said to them, Tell me now his power and his might, And they said to him, He created the heavens and the earth, the seas and all their fish. He formed the light, created the darkness, caused rain upon the earth and watered it, and made the herbage and grass to sprout. He created man and beast and the animals of the forest, the birds of the air, and the fish of the sea, and by his mouth they live and die. Verse 50. Surely he created you in your mother's womb and put into you the breath of life and reared you and placed you upon the royal throne of Mizraim. And he will take your breath and your soul from you and return you to the ground whence you were taken. Verse 51. And the anger of the king was kindled at their words. And he said to them, But who amongst all the Elohim of nations can do this? My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. And he drove them from him. And he ordered the labor upon Yisrael to be more severe than it was yesterday and before. And Moshe and Aaron went out from the king's presence, and they saw the children of Yisrael in an evil condition, for the taskmasters had made their labor exceedingly heavy. Verse 54. And Moshe returned to Yahuwah and said, Why have you ill-treated your people? For since I came to speak to Pharaoh what you did send me for, he has exceedingly ill-used the children of Yisrael. Verse 55. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, Behold, you will see that with an outstretched hand and heavy plagues, Pharaoh will send the children of Yisrael from his land. And Moshe and Aaron dwelt amongst their brethren, the children of Yisrael in Mizraim. Verse 57. And as for the children of Yisrael, the Mitzrite embittered their lives with the heavy work which they imposed upon them. Now is where we're getting started into the first sets of plagues that's getting ready to start smiting Mizraim, Israel. We'll go ahead and pick up with chapter 80. I want to give a shout out to Sis Ruth. How you doing, sis? Thank you for joining us. Praise him. What's going on? How you doing? Shalom, shalom. Yanakota, you ready to dive into chapter 80?
Let's get it done.
Let's get it.
All right. Jasher chapter 80 and verse 1. And at the end of 2 years, Yahuwah again sent Moshe to Pharaoh to bring forth the children of Yisrael and to send them out of the land. And Moshe
You cutting out.
Pharaoh would not hearken. I'm cutting out.
Yep, you cutting out.
All right. Am I coming in good now?
Yeah.
All right. Let's try this again from the top. Verse 1. And at the end of 2 years, Yahuwah again sent Moshe to Pharaoh to bring forth the children of Yisrael and to send them out of the land of Mizraim. And Moshe went and came to the house of Pharaoh and spoke to him the words of Yahuwah who had sent him. But Pharaoh would not hearken to the voice of Yahuwah, and Elohim roused his might in Mizraim upon Pharaoh and his subjects. And Elohim smote Pharaoh and his people with very great and sore and plagues, with all their streams and rivers. And when a Mizrite came to drink and draw water, he looked into his pitcher, and behold, all the water was turned into blood. And when he came to drink from his cup, the water in the cup became blood. And when a woman kneaded her dough to cook her victuals, their appearance was turned to that of blood. And Yahuwah sent again and caused all the waters to bring forth frogs, and all the frogs came into the houses of the Mizrites. And when the Mizrites drank, their bellies were filled with frogs. Wow. And they danced in their bellies as they dance when they're in the river. and all the drinking water and cooking water turned into frogs. Also,
Sheesh.
also,
Sheesh. Sorry. Go ahead.
also, when they lay in their bed, their perspiration bred frogs. So when they were laying in the bed and they started sweating because it was hot at night, it would it would attract the frogs. Notwithstanding all this, the anger of Yahuwah did not turn from them, and his hand was stretched out against all the Mitzrites to smite them with every heavy plague. And he sent and he smote their dust to lice, and the lice became in Mitzrayim to the height of 2 cubits upon the earth. Wow. And the lice were also very numerous in the flesh of man and beast, and all the inhabitants of Mizraim, also upon king and queen, Yahuwah sent the lice, and it grieved Mizraim exceedingly on the account of the lice. Notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahuwah did not turn away. His hand was still stretched out over Mizraim. And Yahuwah sent all kinds of beasts of the field into Mizraim, and they came and destroyed all of Mizraim, man and beast and trees and all things that were in Mizraim. Verse 14. And Yahuwah sent fiery serpents, scorpions, mice, weasels, toads, and all other creeping in the dust, flies, hornets, fleas, bugs, gnats, each swarm according to its kind. All reptiles and winged animals according to their kind came to Mitzrayim and grieved the Mizrites exceedingly. And the fleas and the flies came into the eyes and the ears of the Mizrites, and the hornets came upon them and drove them away, and they removed from it to their inner rooms, and it pursued them. And when the Mitzrites hid themselves on the account of the swarms of the animals, they locked their doors after them. And and Elohim ordered the Salanuth, which was in the sea, to come up and go into Mitzrayim. I don't even know what a Salanuth is.
Me either, but I'm about to find out.
I don't even know what a Salanuth is, but that's interesting. Which was in the sea to come up and to go into Mitzrayim. And she had long arms, 10 cubits of a man. And she went upon the roofs and uncovered the rafters and the flooring and cut them and stretched forth her arm into the house to remove the lock and the bolt and open the houses of the Mizrites. And after came the swarms of animals into the houses of the Mizrites. And the swarms of the animals destroyed the Mizrites and grieved them exceedingly. Notwithstanding notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahuwah did not turn away from the Mizrites, and his hand was yet stretched forth against them. And Elohim sent the pestilence, and the pestilence pervaded Mizraim, and the horses and the asses and all the camels and the herds and oxen, sheep, and in man. And when the Mizrites rose up early in the morning to take their cattle to the pasture, they found that all the cattle were dead. And there remained of the cattle in Mizraim only 1 in 10 of the cattle belonging to Yisrael, in Goshen, not one died. Not one died. And Elohim sent a burning inflammation in the flesh of the Mizrites, which burst their skin, and it became a severe itch in all the Mizrites, from the soles of their feet to the crowns of their heads. And many boils were in their flesh, that their flesh wasted away until they became rotten and putrid. Notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahuwah did not turn away, and his hand was still stretched out over all of Mizraim. And Yahuwah sent a very heavy hail, which smote their vines and broke their fruit trees and dried them up, that they fell, that they fell upon them. And also every green herb became dry and perished, for a mingling fire descended in the midst of the hail. Therefore the hail and the fire consumed all things. So the hail was falling down with such force that it was bursting into flame. This wasn't your average hail. Verse 32. Also, men and beasts that were found abroad perished of the flames of the fire and of hail, and all the young lions were exhausted. And Yahuwah sent and brought numerous locusts into Mitzrayim, the Chesel, Shalom, Shargol, Shagol, locusts, each of its kind, which devoured all that the hail had left remaining. Then the Mitzrites rejoiced at the locusts, although they consumed the produce of the field. They caught them in the abundance and salted them for food. And Yahuwah turned a mighty wind against the sea, which took away all the locusts. So they thought they was slick. They were happy because they was going to take the locusts and eat the locusts because they were starving. And the Most High said, And it says, Yahuwah turned a mighty wind of the sea, which took away all the locusts, even those that were salted, and thrust them into the Red Sea. Not one locust remained within the boundaries of Mizraim. And Elohim sent darkness upon Mizraim, that the whole land of Mizraim and Pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. At that time died many people of Yisrael who had rebelled against Yahuwah and who had not hearkened to Moshe and Aharon and believed not in them that Elohim had sent them, and who had said, we will not go forth from Mizraim, lest we perish with hunger in a desolate wilderness, and would not hearken to the voice of Moshe. And Yahuwah plagued them in the 3 days of darkness, and Yisrael buried them in those days, without the Mizrites knowing of them or rejoicing over them. Verse 40. And the darkness was very great in Mizraim for 3 days, and any person who was standing when the darkness came remained standing in his place, and he that was sitting remained sitting, and he that was lying continued lying in that same state, and he that was walking remained sitting upon the ground in the same spot. And this thing happened to all of Mizraim until the darkness had passed away. In the days of darkness passed away, and Yahuwah sent Moshe and Aharon to the children of Yasharel, saying, celebrate your feast and make your Pesach. For behold, I come in the midst of the night amongst all the Mizrites, and I will smite all their firstborn, from the firstborn of man to the firstborn of beast. When I see your Pesach, I will pass over you. And the children of Yashael did all that Yahuwah had commanded Moshe and Aharon. Thus did they in that night. And it came to pass in the middle of the night that Yahuwah went forth in the midst of Mizraim and smote all the firstborns of Mizraim, from the firstborn of man to the firstborn of beast. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all Mizrites. And there was a great cry throughout Mizraim in that night. For there was not a house in which there was not a corpse. Also the likeness of the firstborn of Mizraim, which were carved in the walls at their houses, were destroyed and fell to the ground. Even the bones of their firstborn, who had died before this, who had been buried in their houses, were raked up by dogs of the Mizrites on the night and dragged before the Mizrites and cast before them. Now, and it says in verse 47, and all the Mitzrites saw this evil which had suddenly came upon them, and all the Mitzrayim cried out with a loud voice. And all the families of the Mitzrites wept upon that night, each man for his son, each man for his daughter, being the firstborn. And the tumult of Mitzrayim was heard at a distance on that night. And Bathia, the daughter of Pharaoh, went forth with the king on that night to seek Moshe and Aharon in their houses, and they found them in their houses, eating and drinking and rejoicing with all of Yisrael. And Bathia said to Moshe, "Is this the reward for the good which I have done to you, who have reared you and stretched you out, and you have brought this evil upon me and my father's house?" And Moshe said to her, "Surely 10 plagues did Yahuwah bring upon Mizraim. Did any evil occur to you from any of them? Did one of them affect you?" And she said, "No." And Moshe said to her, "Although you are the firstborn to your mother, you shall not die, and no evil shall reach you in the midst of Mizraim." And she said, "What advantage is it to me when I see the king, my brother, and all his household and the subjects in this evil, whose firstborns perish with all the firstborns of Mizraim?" And Moshe said to her, "Surely your brother and his household and subjects and all the families of Mizraim would not hearken to the words of Yahuwah. Therefore did this evil come upon them." And the Pharaoh, king of Mizraim, approached Moshe and Aharon and some of the children of Yisrael who were with them in that place. And he prayed to them, saying, "Rise up and take your brethren and all the children of Yisrael who are in the land, with their sheep and their oxen and all belonging to them, and they shall leave nothing remaining. Only pray for me to Yahuwah Elohaikim." And Moshe said to Pharaoh, "Behold, though you are your mother's firstborn, yet fear not, for you will not die. For Yahuwah has commanded that you shall live in order to show you his great and might and strength, and strong strength, stretched out arm." And Pharaoh ordered the children of Yasharel to be sent away, and all the Mitzrites strengthened themselves to send them away, for they said, "We are all perishing." And all the Mitzrites sent Yasharel forth with great riches, sheep, oxen, precious stones, according to the oath of Yahuwah between him and our father Abraham. And the children of Yasharel delayed going forth at night. When the Mizrites came to them to bring them out, they said to them, "Are we thieves that we should go forth at night?" And the children of Yasharel asked of the Mizrites vessels of silver, vessels of gold, garments. And the children of Yasharel stripped Mitzrayim. And Moshe hastened and rose up and went to the river of Mitzrayim, and brought up thenceforth the coffin of Joseph, and took it with him. And the children of Yasharel also brought up each man his father's coffin with him, each man the coffin of his tribe. Right. We had the book of Jasher, chapter 81. Joseph, you still there?
Yep, I'm right here. I
All
was
right.
showing. I wanted to take the time to look up what a Solonuth was. I'm sharing the screen right now. As you see, it's Hebrew. It says it's a monster in the sea, described as being ordered by Yah to come up and go into Egypt. She had long arms, 10 cubits in length, and she went upon the roofs and uncovered the rafting and cut them, and stretched forth her arm into the house and removed the lock and the bolt, and opened the houses of Mizraim, and the swarm of animals destroyed the Mizrites. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Right.
Wow.
And we just thought there was 10 plagues.
Right. Wow. All right, moving on to chapter 81. All right, let me pull this back up. Boom. All right, chapter 81. And the children of Yisrael journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides the little ones and their women. Also a mixed multitude went up with them, and flocks and herds, even much cattle. And the sojourning of the children of Yisrael who dwelt in the land of Mizraim in hard labor was 210 years. 210 years. And at the end of 210 years, Yahuwah brought forth the children of Yisrael from Mizraim with a strong hand. And the children of Yisrael traveled from Mizraim and from Goshen and from Ramses and encamped in Succoth on the 15th day of the first month. And the Mizrahites buried all their firstborn, whom Yahuwah had smitten, and all the Mizrahites buried their slain for 3 days. And the children of Yisrael traveled from Succoth and encamped in Etham at the end of the wilderness. Verse 8. And on the third day after the Mizrahites had buried their firstborn, many men rose up from Mizraim and went after Yisrael to make them return to Mizraim, for they repented that they had sent Yisrael away from their servitude. And one man said to his neighbor, surely Moshe and Aaron, spoke to Pharaoh, saying, we will go a 3 days journey in the wilderness and sacrifice to Yahuwah Eloheinu. Now therefore let us rise up early in the morning and cause them to return. And it shall be that if they return with us to Mizraim, to their Elohim, then shall we know that there is faith in them. But if they will not return, then we will fight with them and make them come back with great power and a strong hand. Verse 11. And all the nobles of Pharaoh rose up in the morning, and with them about 700,000 men, and they went forth from Mizraim on that day and came to the place where the children of Yisrael were. Verse 12. And all the Mizrahites saw, and behold, Moshe and Aaron and all the children of Yisrael were sitting before Pi-hakeroth. Woo! Y'all gonna have to figure that one out on yourself, Israel. I can't pronounce that. Eating and drinking and celebrating the feast of Yahuwah. And all the Mizrahites said to the children of Yisrael, surely you said we will go a journey for 3 days in the wilderness and sacrifice to our Elohim and return. Now therefore this day make 5 days since you went. Why do you not return to your Elohim? Verse 15. And Moshe and Aaron answered them, saying, because Yahuwah Eloheinu has testified in us, saying, you shall no more return to Mizraim, but we will betake ourselves to a land flowing with milk and honey, as Yahuwah Eloheinu has sworn to our ancestors to give to us. Verse 16. And when the nobles of Mizraim saw that the children of Yisrael did not hearken to them to return to Mizraim, they girded themselves to fight with Yisrael. And Yahuwah strengthened the hearts of the children of Yisrael over the Mizrahites, that they gave them a severe beating. All right. And the battle was sore upon the Mizrahites, and all the Mizrahites fell from before the children of Yisrael, for many of them perished by the hands of Yisrael. So contrary to what the churches want you to believe and what Christianity wants you to believe, that, we left Mizraim, after quote unquote 400 years, which is not. As you saw, it was 210. All right, go ahead and dispel with that notion. But more than that, they make it seem as though after being released, Mithrites was just sworn to just ride us down, and we was just fleeing for our lives. And it says it right here in the scripture, the very opposite, actually. Yeah, we was leaving, absolutely. But that first fight, people don't talk about. The Mithrites tried to fight us and force us back into servitude and got their asses whooped, thanks to the Most High Yah. You know, that's a beautiful thing to me. I'm sorry. It just lets me look at the land of our captivity that we're currently in and see our present circumstances and know where we're headed. That little bit of scripture right there gives me so much joy, and it strengthens my heart knowing where we're headed in these end times. All right, verse 18. And the nobles of Pharaoh went to Mizraim and told Pharaoh, saying, the children of Yisrael have fled and will no more return to Mizraim. And in this manner did Moshe and Aaron speak to us. And Pharaoh heard this thing in his heart, and the hearts of all his subjects were turned against Yisrael, and they repented that they had sent Yisrael. And all the Mithrites advised Pharaoh to pursue the children of Yisrael to make them come back to their burdens. Verse 20. And they said, each man to his brother, what is this which we have done, that we have sent Yisrael from our servitude? And Yahuwah strengthened the hearts of all the Mithrites to pursue Yisrael. For Yahuwah desired to overthrow the Mithrites in the Red Sea. Verse 22. And Pharaoh rose up and harnessed his chariot, and he ordered all the Mithrites to assemble. Not one man was left excepting the little ones and the women. And all the Mithrites went forth with Pharaoh to pursue the children of Yisrael. And the camp of Mizraim was an exceedingly large and heavy camp, about 100,000 men. Whew. Verse 24. And the whole of this camp went and pursued the children of Yisrael to bring them back to Mizraim. And they reached them encamping by the Red Sea. Verse 25. And the children of Yisrael lifted up their eyes and beheld all the Mithrites pursuing them. And the children of Yisrael were greatly terrified at them. I'm guessing they would be with 100,000 people chasing them. And the children of Yisrael cried to Yahuwah, as they should, and as we need to get back to doing. Verse 26. And on account of the Mithrites, the children of Yisrael divided themselves into 4 divisions, and they were divided in their options, for they were afraid of the Mithrites. And Moshe spoke to each of them. Verse 27. The first division was of the children of Reuben, Shimon, and Issachar, and they resolved to cast themselves into the sea, for they were exceedingly afraid of the Mithrites. Sounds familiar. Sounds like that transatlantic slave trade. So many of our ancestors lost to the sea, still crying out from the depths of the ocean. Verse 28. And Moshe said to them, fear not, stand still and see the Yeshua of Yahuwah, which he will effect this day for you. The second division was of the children of Zebulun, Benjamin, and Naphtali, and they resolved to go back to Mizraim with the Mithrites. A little bit soft-hearted. Verse 30. And Moshe said to them, fear not, for as you have seen the Mithrites this day, so shall you see them no more forever. The third division was of the children of Yehudah and Joseph, They resolved to go to meet the Mithrites to fight with them. That's what I'm talking about. Big shout outs to my ancestor Yehuda. That's what I'm talking about right there. Hey, if we're going to die, I'm going to die on my feet. Let me fight. And Moshe said to them, stand in your places, for Yahuwah will fight for you, and you shall remain silent. Verse 33. And the fourth division was of the children of Levi, Gad, and Asher, and they resolved to go into the midst of the Mithrites to confound them. And Moshe said to them, remain in your stations, and fear not, only call unto Yahuwah, that he may save you out of their hands. Verse 34. And after this, Moshe rose up from amidst the people, and he prayed to Yahuwah and said, O Yahuwah Elohim of the whole earth, save now your people, whom you did bring forth from Mizraim, and let not the Mithrites boast that power and might are theirs. So Yahuwah said to Moshe, why do you cry unto me? Speak to the children of Yisrael, that they shall proceed, and do you stretch out your rod upon the sea and divide it, and the children of Yisrael shall pass through it. He said, what you asking me for? You already got everything that I needed to equip you for. Verse 37. And Moshe did so, and he lifted up his rod upon the sea and divided it. And the waters of the sea were divided into 12 parts, and the children of Yisrael passed through on foot, with shoes as a man would pass through a prepared road, aka the sands wasn't even soggy. You would think that they would have an issue kind of like quicksand sinking into the sand with it being wet, since it's the bottom of the ocean, and it was as dry as a road. Verse 39. And Yahuwah manifested to the children of Yisrael his wonders in Mizraim, and in the sea by the hand of Moshe and Aaron. And when the children of Yisrael had entered the sea, the Mithrites came after them, and the waters of the sea resumed upon them, and they all sank in the water, and not one man was left excepting Pharaoh, who gave thanks to Yahuwah and believed in him. Therefore Yahuwah did not cause him to perish at that time with the Mithrites. It took for every man of fighting age of Mizraim to be lost to the sea to cause Pharaoh to finally speak and believe in the Almighty Yahuwah Elohim. Wow. You basically damned your entire people, your bloodline. Killing all the men. You almost extinct. Verse 41. And Yahuwah ordered an angel to take him from amongst the Mithrites, who cast him upon the land of Neviah, and he reigned over it for a long time. So not only did he no more go to his land, he went to Neviah, Nineveh, excuse me, and reigned over Nineveh for a long time after that, after losing everybody. And on that day, Yahuwah saved Yisrael from the hand of Mizraim, and all the children of Yisrael saw that the Mithrites had perished, and they beheld the great hand of Yahuwah, and what he had performed in Mizraim and in the sea. Then sang Moshe and the children of Yisrael this song unto Yahuwah on the day when Yahuwah caused the Mithrites to fall before them. And all Yisrael sang in concert, saying, I will sing to Yahuwah, for he is greatly exalted. The horse and his rider has he cast into the sea. Behold, it is written in the Sefer of the Torah of Elohim. Verse 45. After this, the children of Yisrael proceeded on their journey and encamped in Marah. And Yahuwah gave to the children of Yisrael commandments and judgments in that place in Marah. And Yahuwah commanded the children of Yisrael to walk in all his ways and to serve him. And they journeyed from Mara and came to Elim. And in Elim were 12 springs of water and 70 date trees. And the children encamped there by the waters. And they journeyed from Elim and came to the wilderness of Sin on the 15th day of the second month after their departure from Mizraim. Verse 48. At that time, Yahuwah gave the manna to the children of Yisrael to eat, and Yahuwah caused food to rain from heaven for the children of Yisrael day by day. And the children of Yisrael ate the manna for 40 years, all the days that they were in the wilderness, until they came to the land of Canaan to possess it. Verse 50. And they proceeded from the wilderness of Sin and encamped in Elush. And they proceeded from Elush and encamped in Rephidim. And when the children of Yisrael were in Rephidim, Amalek, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, the brother of Zepho, came to fight with Yisrael. And he brought with him 801,000 men, magicians and conjurers. And he prepared for battle with Yisrael and Rephidim. Verse 54. And they carried on a great and severe battle against Yisrael. And Yahuwah delivered Amalek and his people into the hands of Moshe and the children of Yisrael, and into the hands of Yahusha, the son of Nun, the Ephraite, the servant of Moshe. And the children of Yisrael smote Amalek and his people at the edge of the sword. But the battle was very sore upon the children of Yisrael. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, write this thing as a memorial for you in a sefer, and place it in the hand of Yahusha, the son of Nun, your servant. And you shall command the children of Yisrael, saying, when you shall come to the land of Canaan, you shall utterly efface the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moshe did so. And he took the sefer and wrote upon it these words, saying, verse 58, remember what Amalek has done to you in the road when you went forth from Mizraim, who met you in the road and smote your rear, even those that were feeble behind you when you were faint and weary. Therefore it shall be when Yahuwah Elohaka shall have given you rest from all your enemies round about, and the land which Yahuwah Elohaka gives you for an inheritance, to possess it, that you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. You shall not forget it. Yahuwah was not playing due to the severeness of the losses, the casualties that we took that day when they attacked us from behind. Verse 61. And the king who shall have pity on Amalek, or upon his memory, or upon his seed, behold, I will require it of him, and I will cut him off from amongst his people. If you have pity for Amalek, you will be blotted out with Amalek. And Moshe wrote all these things in a sefer, and he enjoined the children of Yisrael respecting all these matters. Diving into the final chapter, chapter 82, Yisrael.
But you're not supposed to abhor an Edomite. Well, Amalek is an Edomite. And you just heard what the Most High told us how we were supposed to deal with them. When anybody tell you that, they don't know what they really talking about. They taking that out of context.
Right. There's very specifics. And although it says for us not to remember them, we don't necessarily have to hate them. We pretty much treat them like how many of us, myself included, treat others nowadays, which is the same way they treat us, which is guilty until proven innocent. In the case of Amalek, I treat you with complete indifference until the time comes when we do what we must. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no hatred behind it. It's just what it is.
Just what it is.
And being
It's
being soldiers, you know, me and you can both completely understand that. Having fought in a war, fighting against people that we haven't even met. So clearly, if I don't know you, I can't hate you. But each side must do what we must.
you know,
So
so we
go
was
ahead.
Yasher 82-1. And the children of Yashael proceeded from Rephidim, and they encamped in the wilderness of Sinai in the 3rd month from their going forth from Mizraim. At that time came Reuel the Midianite, the father-in-law of Moshe, with Zipporah his daughter and 2 sons, for he had heard of the wonders of Yahuwah which he had done to Yashael, and that he had delivered them from the hand of Mizraim. And Reuel came to Moshe to the wilderness where he was encamped, where the mountain of Elohim. And Moshe was Moshe went forth to meet his father-in-law with great honor, and all of Yashael was with him. And Reuel and his children remained amongst Yashael for many days. And Reuel knew Yahuwah from that day forward. And in the 3rd month, from the children of Yashael's departure from Mizraim, on the 6th day thereof, Yahuwah gave to Yashael the 10 Davraim, or commandments, on Mount Sinai. And all of Yashael heard these commandments, and all of Yashael rejoiced exceedingly in Yahuwah on that day. For the glory of Yahuwah rested upon Mount Sinai, and he called to Moshe, and Moshe came in the midst of a cloud and ascended to the mount. And Moshe was upon the mount 40 days and 40 nights. He ate no bread, nor drank no water. And Yahuwah instructed him in the commandments and the judgments, in order to teach the children of Yashael. And Yahuwah wrote the 10 Davarim, which he had commanded the children of Yashael, upon two sapphire stones, which he gave to Moshe to command the children of Yashael. I didn't know it was on sapphire stones. You learn something new every day.
Hey, that is crazy. Like
Like
that's
you,
that's wow.
I'm gonna read that again. Verse 10, Yasher 82, verse 10. And Yahuwah wrote the 10 Davraim, or commandments, which he had commanded the children of Yashael, upon 2 sapphire stones, which he gave to Moshe to command the children of Yashael.
Salakia. Can you imagine what those look like when the sun hit those joints?
They lit up.
Sapphires.
They
It
lit up.
glowed. It glowed, which means as it glowed, the 10 Commandments was
Oh, it
shown
was
on the
shining.
walls and on the floor, wherever
It
the
was,
shadow was cast.
yeah, it
Wow.
was being projected everywhere. So it
Whew.
says, at the end of 40 days and 40 nights, when Yahuwah had finished speaking to Moshe on Mount Sinai, then Yahuwah gave to Moshe the sapphire stone, written with the finger of Elohim. And when the children of Yashael saw that Moshe tarried to come down from the mount, they gathered round Aharon and said, as for this man Moshe, we know not what has become of him. Now therefore rise up and make unto us an Elohim who shall go before us, so that you shall not die. And Aharon was greatly afraid of the people, and he ordered them to bring him gold, and he made it into a molten calf for the people. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, before he had came down from the mount, get you down, for your people whom you did bring forth from Mizraim have corrupted themselves. They have made themselves a molten calf, and have bowed down to it. Now therefore leave me, that I may consume them from off this earth. for they are a stiff-necked people. And Moshe besought the countenance of Yahuwah, and he prayed to Yahuwah for the people on the account of the calf which they had made. And he afterward descended from the mount, and in his hands were the two sapphire stones, which Elohim had given him to command Yisrael. And when Moshe approached the camp and saw the calf which the people had made, the anger of Moshe was kindled, and he broke the sapphires under the mount. And Moshe came to the camp, and he took the calf and burned it with fire in the ground and ground it until it became fine dust. And he strewed it upon the water, and he gave it to Yisrael to drink. And there died of the people by the sword of each other 3,000 men who had made the calf. And on the morrow Moshe said to the people, I will go up to Yahuwah, perchance I might make atonement for your sins which you have sinned to Yahuwah. And Moshe went up to Yahuwah, and he remained with Yahuwah another 40 days and 40 nights. During the 40 days did Moshe entreat Yahuwah on behalf of the children of Yisrael. And Yahuwah hearkened to the prayer of Moshe, and Yahuwah was entreated of him in behalf of Yisrael. Then spoke Yahuwah to Moshe to hew 2 sapphire stones and to bring them up to Yahuwah, who would write upon them the 10 Davraim. Now Moshe did so, and he came down and hewed the two sapphires and went up to Mount Sinai to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah wrote the 10 Davraim upon the sapphires. And Moshe remained yet with Yahuwah 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahuwah instructed him in the commandments and judgments to impart to Yisrael. And Yahuwah commanded him respecting the children of Yisrael that they should make a sanctuary for Yahuwah, that his name might rest therein. And Yahuwah showed him the likeness of the sanctuary and the likeness of all its vessels. And at the end of the 40 days, Moshe came down from the mount, and the 2 sapphires were in his hand. And Moshe came to the children of Yisrael and spoke to them all the words of Yahuwah. And he taught them Torah, commandments, judgments, which Yahuwah had taught him. And Moshe told the children of Yisrael the words of Yahuwah, that a sanctuary should be made for him to dwell amongst the children of Yisrael. And the people rejoiced greatly at the good which Yahuwah had spoken to them through Moshe. And they said, we will do all that Yahuwah has spoken to you. And the people rose up like one man, and they made generous offerings to the sanctuary of Yahuwah. And each man brought the offering of Yahuwah for the work of the sanctuary for all its services. And all the children of Yasharel brought each man of all that was found of his possessions for the work of the sanctuary of Yahuwah, gold, silver, brass, and everything that was serviceable for the sanctuary. And all the wise men who were practiced in work came and made the sanctuary of Yahuwah according to all that Yahuwah had commanded, every man in the work in which he had been practiced. And all the wise men in heart made the sanctuary and its furniture and all the vessels for the holy service as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And the work of the sanctuary of the tabernacle was completed at the end of five months. And the children of Yasharel did all that Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And they brought the sanctuary and all its furniture to Moshe, like unto the representation which Yahuwah had showed Moshe, did so the children of Yasharel. And Moshe saw the work, and behold, they did it as Yahuwah commanded him. So Moshe blessed them.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you all. Big shout outs. How you doing, sis Hadassah, the hidden ones? What's going on with you? Don't think that we didn't see you on there. Definitely did. How you doing, sis? Thank you all for sitting with us tonight and going through this again. Walk through the scriptures, getting one accord with all of Israel. Well, all of Israel who actually wants to get on one accord, going step by step through each verse, each chapter, each book that is afforded to us, so that we can get the closest completed history of ourselves and our past, so that we know which best way to continue moving forward from here. With that being said, Yanakota, got anything?
The only thing I can say is remember Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, for this is the conclusion of the entire matter. Fear Yahuwah and guard his command. And in our native tongue, I like to say, Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu, Baruch atah Yahshua HaMashiach, Baruch Hababa Hashem Adonai, which means blessings be to Yahuwah, the Almighty One. Blessings be to Yeshua, the Messiah. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Most High. Shalom Aleichem, Mishpach.
Hallelujah. All right. Well, what I will say is, if you are looking for more information, be sure to check out. Again, I just gave shout outs previously to the hidden one. Sis Hadassah is over there doing her thing. If you can, go to the podcast section of this here channel, The Nation, Sword and Spear. Click on Negro Onlys. That is basically the parent channel where a lot of us got started. If you're looking for more information, we have a ton of information on that channel. We happen to be shadow bandits, so the best way and the easiest way to get to Negro Onlys is to click podcast, click Negro Onlys, and from there it sends you straight to the channel. Also, check out Resurrecting the Truth with Ak Kadar. He doing his big things over there. Neftali's School of Thought, she's doing her thing over there. Yanakota, am I forgetting anybody?
Aki Breeze channel, the beginners channel. You want to check him out? Go ahead. We also have a clone channel of the Negro Only. It's called Blood Hashem. You want to check that out? Shout out to all our brothers and sisters out here in this truth, trying to put this out there and trying to, wake up our people.
Absolutely. And yet again, want to give major shout outs to John Boy, who put together that anthem that we have for this channel. Big shout outs to the wife, Yamisha, who was the one that did the video that you guys look at when we're getting started out. It works. It's that thing's amazing. So with that being said, I would like to say Barakatah Yahuwah Sebaoth Barah Hashamayim Baharetz Allah Akim Shel Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov Al Hanu Al Kadash Akkad Yisrael Alahai Yeshai Asher Natan Lanu Haruk Beriah. Blessed are you, Yahuwah of the armies, creator of the heavens and the earth, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, our Elohim, the Holy One of Yisrael, my El and my salvation, for giving us the spirit of creation. Until next time, Yisrael, keep your head up. We love y'all. Be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe notifications, and do some research. Jumping through those channels that we just put out there. Shalom. We love y'all, Israel.
Yeah, it's the blackout. And y'all know what them blacks about. Yeah. Okay, say it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Forget an LLC. The world was black owned. Black kings, black crowns on a black throne. Black kings, black queens making black clones. Black peace back east, bringing back those. Poverty, slavery, and they snatch souls. Prison system, feminism, and the crack soul. Still couldn't kill us, then we came back bold. The Most High put some fire on these black coals. I ain't here to jeopardize it, just to add a fire. This a Malcolm X mixed with some Hezekiah. This a Muhammad Ali with some Nehemiah. This will stop being the lowest, time to get higher. Even at our best, we still ain't maxed out. I wish I had a wood, I bring the axe out. And all we ever do is bring the facts out. Once the blacks come in, it's a blackout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Ain't no more black people going to hell. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.